afternoon. This is Kerry Meldon. We are here at Meldon Law and Friends, our weekly podcast where we're able to bring in influential people throughout North Central Florida who can talk about what they do and how they help everybody in North Central Florida in different ways. Today's guest, we're really excited about, Angela Taylor, will be talking a little bit about something I am very passionate about, which is insurance and the purchasing of insurance and why it's important and how to potentially save you and your family money on the premiums as they start to increase in Florida, which we've seen over the past few years. So what a timely and great guest this week. Angela Taylor will be in here in a few minutes. Before we get to Angela, I want to go through the announcements, upcoming giveaways and events. First of all, for the listeners out there who may not be familiar with our podcast, at Meldon Law, we help everybody in the North Central Florida community that's been injured as a result of a serious accident or in need of criminal defense representation. Our consultations are always free, and you can come into our office and meet with us in person. We are local and have offices in Gainesville, Ocala, Lake City, and now Williston, Florida. So we're happy to bring in the folks over at Williston as well. In terms of some of the things that we do at Meldon Law, we love being involved in charities. We have a backpack giveaway for kids in positive places. We are going to be bringing backpacks to local students in Marion and Alachua County to ensure that every student has what they need to succeed for this upcoming school year. If you're interested in being part of this Kids in Positive Places backpack giveaway, please reach out to our own Angel Torres at Meldon Law, and her number is 352-663-8565. Spurriers celebrating their big third-year anniversary this upcoming Monday, August 12th. This is a huge event for Spurriers. We're here at Spurriers today. As you can see the background, we are happy to be in the podcast booth as always. But this upcoming Monday is a big day, the third-year anniversary of Spurriers. It seemed like it just opened yesterday, but they have been rocking and rolling, and now it's one of the more popular restaurants in North Central Florida. The celebration includes FaceTime with Coach Spurrier, high-end dinner buffet with filet mignon carving station, a special thank you gift for every guest, and a raffle to win a dinner with Coach Spurrier. The proceeds will be donated to the Ronald McDonald House, supporting families in need. The Ronald McDonald House is a great organization. We'll talk about them in a second for when we talk about the Red Shoe Affair, which is going to be happening August 17th. And if you're interested in joining, contact Spurriers. The number is 352-500-4422. That's 352-500-4422. There's also the 6th Annual North Central Florida Outdoor Expo, which is going to be held Saturday, August 17th. Meldon Law is a sponsor for this event, and it's held at the World Equestrian Center, which is located in Ocala, Florida. It will celebrate everything related to the outdoors. It's going to be indoors, but they will be highlighting outdoor gears and accessories. There'll be activities for kids of all ages, a wide array of vendors and exhibitors, and you'll see the latest and greatest of outdoor related products. So it's the entry fee is $10 cash at the door. If you want to purchase ahead of time, you can go to the website of the 6th Annual North Central Florida Outdoor Expo. So Google North Central Florida Outdoor Expo, and you can purchase online for $5. The last announcement is the Ronald McDonald House Charities of North Central Florida is going to be hosting the Red Shoe Affair on August 17th, which is the same day as the World Equestrian Center event, but it's at night at 6 p.m. This is the 12th Annual Red Shoe Affair, and it's going to be held at the Exact Tech Arena, which is the O-Dome, or otherwise known as the Stephen C. O'Connell Center. And Meldon Law is going to be a sponsor and co-chair with the Ronald McDonald House of Charities of North Central Florida. The Ronald McDonald House is an amazing place. They provide temporary housing, basic amenities, and support to families with children receiving treatment at the Children's Hospital. And they'll do it for weeks upon weeks for children who have been unfortunately dealing with life-threatening illnesses and are hospitalized long-term at the hospital here in Gainesville. The Red Shoot Affair will feature silent and live auctions, heartwarming family stories, exquisite cuisine, open bars, dancing, and additional entertainments and activities. So once again, the Ronald McDonald House will be sponsoring the Red Shoe Affair August 17th, 6 p.m. Please contact the Facebook page for the Ronald McDonald House of North Central Florida or their website if you want to purchase a ticket. Finally, speaking of tickets, at our Meldon Law Facebook page, just go to Facebook page, look up Meldon Law. You can see, as always, our free Gator ticket giveaway. We will be giving away tickets free with no obligation. There will be the first football game coming up in a couple weeks, UF versus Miami. We're giving away 2 tickets to that game, so please enter so you can be part of the festivities. So when we come back from our first commercial break, we'll be honored to be joined by Angela Taylor. Angela Taylor is an insurance agent and owner of Frank Slaughter Insurance in Wildwood, Florida. So in a few seconds, we'll be back and we'll be able to bring Angela Taylor on board.
Jeffrey, what are you doing?
Well, I'm joining the band, of course. Since Meldon Law is the official law firm partner of the Florida Gators, I want to help.
Dad, we're litigators. Let's stick to helping people in the courtroom.
Well, can we still hang out and jam a little bit? At Meldon Law, we won't back down.
I was going down a one-way street and a girl that was driving her car T-boned me on my scooter. I ended up going for an MRI and discovering that I had 2 herniated discs. Coming to Cary allowed me to not have to worry about what doctor I was going to see or what physical therapist I had to go to. They say, these are the people we trust. You're going to have a great experience there. And I honestly did each time.
Call Meldon Law. Your consultation is absolutely free.
Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
And I was in an accident. Someone ran a red light and hit me, and I was hurt. You don't know where to turn. Luckily, I called Jeffrey. These big insurance companies, they don't want you to win. They truly don't. But Jeffrey and his firm and the people that work here, they just really fight for you. You call the law offices of Jeffrey Meldon because you're going to need help, and they will help you.
Call Meldon Law right now.
Hey, Sammy, look who's there. Say hi.
Hey!
You again!
Meldon Law, Jeffrey speaking.
Jeffrey!
Somebody else hit us here.
Yeah.
Here we go again.
After the car accident, your personal life takes a toll when you have major injuries. Being a mother of 3 kids, having to work, it became overwhelming. Didn't know what was going to be my outcome, but Meldon Law actually, they went above and beyond.
At Meldon Law, we're not just your legal team, we're your support system. You do not have to go through this alone. At Meldon Law, we won't back down.
We are back here at Meldon Law and Friends. As I said earlier, we've got a very special and interesting guest today, right up our alley at Meldon Law and Friends. I'd like to introduce Angela Taylor. Angela.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
So Angela is the owner of Frank Slaughter Insurance in Wildwood, and we were talking before the podcast, and I said, "Well, what's Frank doing these days?" And she kind of gave me the background. So why don't you tell me before we get into your background a little bit about the background of Frank Slaughter Insurance Agency?
Well, I can definitely say it's in the blood. So my grandfather, Frank Slaughter, who was an avid Gator fan.
I love that.
Yeah. Always.
He would love this room right here.
He would. And I there's more to that story. But he started in insurance years and years ago after he got out of the Army. And finally put down roots in this 1970 in Wildwood. And along the way, built a successful business. My father, Sam, went to work for him back in the 70s. And he retired. My dad bought him the business out back in the mid-90s. And I came on board to help. And then my dad retired about 7 years ago, and I became the owner. So we're celebrating our 60th year.
Third generation.
Yep, we sure are. We're really proud to take care of our clients.
That's amazing. So you guys are like, it's in your blood, like law is in my blood, insurance is in your blood.
It is, and it means something.
Yeah.
It's very important to protect our customers.
And you actually know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Because there's so many people that act as if they know what they're talking about, including myself sometimes. But most of the time, I'm dealing with people that are young insurance agents that may not have all of the information.
Yeah, and I have to say, our industry right now, there are a lot of sales folks out there, a lot of smooth people jumping from occupation to occupation.
Absolutely.
And I really don't feel like insurance is something that I want to trust someone who was selling cars or windows the year prior. I feel like you want to talk to someone who understands how claims work so that you can prevent a problem down the road.
So, Angela, I couldn't agree more. And so when did Frank Slaughter, he passed away?
Yeah, he passed away in the mid-90s.
Would he have even imagined the villages and what was going on? I guess that was about the time the villages were being imagined, huh?
It was. And in fact, I remember when I was in junior college going to the historic part of the villages. And Frank was a very, very avid golfer. He would have loved that. I mean, he was very social. It's brought a lot of opportunity to us.
Absolutely.
And Sumter County, there were very few, actually only 2 counties in the state of Florida where this could have been possible.
Yeah.
And that was Volusia or Sumter. And when you go to visit us, you'll see just such a beautiful fluid flow.
It's amazing. We represent quite a lot of clients in the villages. Amazing people. A lot of them for the Midwest, just the nicest people you can imagine. Some of them are actually Floridians too, but they're all from all over, all walks of life. And I've never seen so many golf carts in my life.
It's their primary mode of transportation in a lot of households. It's very different there.
And we'll talk about insuring golf carts
Yes,
too,
we will.
because that's important. So before we get into that, I want to know a little bit more about you. Okay. So tell me, where were you born?
Okay, so I was born in Gainesville, Florida.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually my mom and my dad met. My dad played ball for University of Florida, basketball.
Okay.
Yeah, so at
what
one
years
point,
did he play?
I know, I'd have to ask, but I know 69, 70 range there. But it was interesting. I had my dad, my mom's brother, and my soon-to-be uncle were all playing on the same ball team. And my mom and my aunt met their husbands and married. It's really interesting.
There was a really good basketball player named Neil Walk, which I think was around that time. I'm sure he's familiar with him.
I'd have to ask, yes.
But basketball wasn't as big as football, back then. But I love basketball. It's one of my favorite things. Well, that's great. So you're a Gator born and bred.
Oh yes,
born in Gainesville.
Yep, was. Got my bachelor's degree in actually Alabama, of all places, in accounting.
Okay.
And I was working at one of the hospitals in Ocala. I was an assistant controller, and the family needed some help in the family business. And I was at the point where I had just gotten married and was ready to have some children and kind of slow down a little bit. So I took to it very quickly. And the way that we approached it, I got my CIC, Certified Insurance Counselor degree, in 1 year. So I went through all of those. And that's kind of like, you would have to agree, an advanced, one of the better designations to have. And what it really taught me is how to explain insurance. I'm not perfect. However, when I can take someone and kind of be the middle person to explain the insurance terms to the client to where they understand what they're buying.
And with your accounting background, it must go. You can understand the numbers and how they work, and how, because a lot of this is people look at the short term instead of the long term, and I know that that's probably hard. Something you have to explain to them is looking at things from a different perspective.
Oh yeah, and especially right now, with the economy the way it is. Insurance premiums are at an all-time high, and I have to remind them the coverage that you're purchasing. No, none of us like the cost of it. However, you're insuring sometimes your largest asset, your house. Your vehicles your auto insurance protects your assets if you hurt someone.
Absolutely.
So we need to think more of the value. We cannot, in my opinion, set a price tag and not go over a certain price tag. You don't want to cut coverage to save $1 because that could hurt you.
Right. And we're going to talk about that. I really want to get into that because insurance is so intriguing to me. It's so, when I was in law school, I learned the history of insurance. I started with ships and boats, and it's got a really interesting history. But what it was really about, I think, still stands true, which is making sure that that people can continue to live their life in the event that tragedy happens. And if you are insured appropriately, then to an extent you can mitigate any type of future catastrophe from destroying your life, which you see it all the time probably.
Yes.
I do. I know I see it all the time.
Oh, well, absolutely.
So after you got your certification, what was the next step?
Working with clients.
And so were you working with your father at that point? Or?
Yes.
And was it just the two of you? Did you?
Oh no, we had a support staff.
Okay.
We had some we call them CRSs, customer service representatives. Everyone in our office is licensed. Just want to let you know that we license everybody. But no, it's really a team effort. It's really a team effort, especially with our office in particular. We want to take care of the client. We don't want to separate the alphabet. When we have a question or we have a need, we want to have it addressed and get it handled for the client.
And so how long did you and your father work hand in hand before he decided to hand over the reins completely to you?
Well, in 2004 is when I started taking over the agency management.
Okay.
So I managed from 2004 until purchase.
So it's been almost 20 years since you've managed the insurance. Tell me what you've seen change in those past, 20, 30 years.
Oh my goodness.
Some of the biggest changes.
Well, I think the introduction to credit scoring to insurance was a huge change, and it actually helped consumers.
Okay.
Might have put a few at a disadvantage, but they can improve on that. I think telematics in the auto insurance world is really interesting because that's finally a way to make you in control of your insurance rates rather than being put in a pool of a bunch of other folks. Definitely with inflation impacting us, it's interesting to see how our insurance requirements in Florida haven't really adjusted with that.
Sure. And you guys have been there since it was with auto insurance, especially the last 50 years have stayed stagnant. I mean, and Florida is one of two states that does not have mandatory bodily injury liability insurance, which we'll talk about what that means. Because the questions I get is, what's bodily injury liability? What's property damage? What's comprehensive? What's collision? What's UM? Underinsured motorists, what's the difference between underinsured versus uninsured? And really, a lot of these questions, they're good to be educated on, but it's much more simple than what it sounds. And if you talk to someone like Angela, she's going to be able to sit you down in 10 minutes and give you kind of the basics of what you need to know. And after learning about, how many kids you have, how many cars you have, what's your how often do you drive? Where do you drive? I mean, all of those things are important to determining like what you should purchase.
Oh, absolutely.
And we talk about golf carts. One of the things that people don't know is that golf carts can be covered under homeowners insurance. And we actually had a case recently in the Villages where we found over $4 million of insurance that was where the golf cart was actually covered under the homeowners policy. And and you can get separate golf cart policies too. You can get there's all kinds of coverage that you may not even know exists unless you're talking to someone that really understands the insurance industry.
Yeah, and if you're a victim, I definitely think a golf cart policy is more appropriate because you can't buy uninsured motorists from a homeowner's policy.
And that's always the primary policy. The one that is controlling first is the one that's purchased directly for the actual golf cart. Yep, especially if it's street legal.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
we know that you hear that one too. So, going back to when you first started, where you got what was the breakdown in terms of the type of insurance that you guys were selling, whether it was homeowners or auto or health or whatever?
No, we stayed away from health insurance and even at this point Medicare insurance because we wanted to make people happy. And it's really hard to make people happy when it comes to health.
I agree.
We are pretty much down the line. Home, auto, umbrellas, obviously, are very important. The toys, recreational boats, motorcycles.
Well, when you say umbrella, I want to stop you there. Okay. Does that mean insuring umbrellas?
No, but it does do something very similar.
Okay.
The personal umbrella is what I like to call a secondary line of coverage. And it really sounds a little goofy, but you lift it up and it encompasses all that you own. If you list it your items properly, if you disclose them and insure them properly, I like to say it gives you like an invisible fence around your assets. And if you hurt someone, it's one more line of defense before they get to your stuff.
And in fact, some of these umbrella, or I should say excess policies, more so than umbrellas,
some are,
can actually, you can cover your own injuries
with uninsured motorists.
With underinsured motorists.
It's not that expensive on an umbrella, actually.
And so you're not only protecting yourself against other people coming after your assets, you're actually securing your own and your family's own health in the event that the catastrophic accident that we all hope never happens does occur. You can, in some ways, have some peace of mind that, if you get so injured you're not able to work or something happens, that you can have some protection there.
Yeah, and it's very important because a lot of agents don't talk about uninsured motorists. I think some companies don't want their agents talking or selling it.
That really saddens me too.
Well, and umbrellas too. Very few agents ever offer the uninsured motorist, and it's very affordable. So,
Angela, nothing upsets me more as a lawyer, as a personal injury lawyer, is that when I see a $250,000 BI policy with no UM, and that to me just makes my heart sink because the people are, and we'll talk about. I keep saying BI, UM. We're talking this language. We know what we're talking about, but basically, what it means is that when you bought your insurance, you're protecting everybody else on the road up to $250,000. Meaning, if they get injured, they're going to get whatever they need up to $250,000. But if you get injured and the other person doesn't have insurance and it's not your fault for the accident, you get zero if they don't have any kind of bodily injury liability insurance. So you're basically protecting everybody else, and for not that much more, you can get UM, which will protect you as well as everybody else on the road.
Right, because the state of Florida says you can protect yourself as well as you protect the other guy.
Bingo, and that's the key topic that you need someone like Angela to tell you is that you cannot just protect yourself and your family. You have to be able to protect everybody else on the road too. So, for the extent that you can purchase insurance coverage that will protect the other motorist, you can purchase that own coverage up to that same amount to protect you and your family.
Exactly.
And that's the way that Florida works. Other states are different, but in Florida, it's the Wild West out there.
I would agree.
How many times do you get people call you after they've been in terrible accidents asking if they could buy insurance, and you're telling them it's too late. It wasn't in effect at the time of the accident.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's unfortunate too. You hear some stories where I've experienced an uninsured driver hitting me. I've had a claim where there was no money and I had to pay for it myself. So unfortunately, the state of Florida requires consumers to take care of themselves. We don't have adequate limits required. And twofold. You want liability, you want to insure the other person's body, the other person's property damage that you might cause, but you also need to take care of your own because you might be on the road with someone with low limits or no limits at all, and now who's going to pay those bills?
So there's going to be too much for us to cover during this podcast because I could literally put Angela on for 4 hours, and if you listen to it, I promise you and your loved ones' lives would be much, much better because if you take 2 or 3 things from what she's telling you today, it will give you peace of mind. Not only that, but the average person gets into an accident about every 7 years. In fact, there's more accidents today than ever, we believe, because of texting and driving and the distractions that are on the road. So, when people come to me and they say, I'm a great driver, I'll never get into an accident, I know what I'm doing. You cannot control what other people do on the road. You just can't. You may be sitting at a red light and you cannot control if someone comes and hits you at 70 miles per hour because they're on their phone watching some TV show on their iPhone. So you need to take this seriously. I don't want to involve scare tactics, but I do believe in my heart of hearts that if more people were informed about the importance of insurance, that everything would be much, much easier for them moving forward, because about 30% of the people that come to our office, Angela, there's no insurance on either side. And I've had people who've got their complete chest split open because they were in an accident. They had staples going down their entire chest. And not only did they get zero recovery, they were on the hook for paying the medical bills. They were on the hook for paying all the property damage. They were on the hook for paying their future medical damages. For the rest of their lives, they're going to have to pay to make sure that they can just survive through an accident that was not their fault.
And they could possibly lose their home because now they're disabled. Yep. There's so many factors that can happen. And
it's really sad. I mean, it's the worst part of what we do.
We have to remember driving's a privilege. Mm-hmm. And
it is.
We want to find a good value. I understand a budget. I understand a value. However, you've got to remember, you're putting your family at risk when you get behind the wheel. You could hurt someone and put your assets at risk, or you could be hurt and that other person not have enough coverage.
Yes. And this is not just a lawyer telling you this. This is someone that works with insurance. So you've got the other side here that's going to tell you, it's really important to make sure that that insurance exists for very good reasons. Insurance is an amazing concept. We're very lucky to have it. I believe I keep as much insurance as I possibly can, because I have an obligation to protect other people on the road in case I get into an accident, and I want to make sure I'm protected. So for me, insurance is something that I think is an incredible product that we offer in the United States, to the extent that if people are knowledgeable, they can make the right decisions for them. And everyone's decision is different, which is what you can discuss with them when they call your office.
Yes.
And before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about other types of insurance that you guys offer.
Sure. So obviously we do the homeowners, renters insurance. Now that's really, it's kind of special to me because renters insurance is so affordable.
Yeah.
And oftentimes those are the folks that really don't have a whole lot if they have a theft or if they have a fire. So I really, really suggest folks who rent to call their agents and talk about renters insurance. Mm-hmm. Additionally, it will offer you a discount most times on your auto insurance.
Right.
Like a homeowner would get.
It's renters insurance is not that expensive.
No.
I think you need that, especially if you have like dogs, for example.
Oh yeah, liability.
Yeah.
And, with the dog issue anymore, I have had situations where a dog wasn't vicious. A dog tripped someone in the household.
Yeah.
And I have the consumers all the time. Oh, I have a little sweet dog. Would never hurt anybody. You know what? It's happy to see someone. It trips that person, and boom, they fall, hurt their hip.
Yep.
There's an issue. Liability is important.
And insurance is what protects you from having to pay anything out of pocket. I can tell you the majority, I'd say over 95% of people who have decent insurance, they will not have to pay anything out of pocket for injuries that occur to other people. So you're able to continue to live your life, and that's what insurance is for. And the good thing about Angela is she's completely on your side. She's there to look out for you. When I say that, she's going to go through and see what the best fit is for you based on your budget. She's not the one that's adjusting the claims later on. So she's not involved with determining who pays what or what happens with the lawsuit. That's not what Angela's here for. Angela's just here to make sure that in the event that something bad happens,
you've got some protection.
You got some protection.
And in talking about that, we should point out there are different kinds of agencies. You've got some captives. Mm-hmm. So you have an agent that only represents one company, and a lot of times I kind of look at it as if they're married to that company.
They are married to that company.
Their paychecks coming directly from them.
Yes.
Okay.
There's an inherent conflict of interest.
There is.
Yeah.
Well, we are an independent agency. So what that means is we earn and keep good contracts with multiple companies. And our office's goal is to just kind of evolve with our client. And if their risk changes, we can change and move them to a different company.
Yeah.
To keep them served, however, not with just the same company.
I'm making a promise here on air. I'm going to contact Angela and let her shop my insurance around. So you got a new client in me, because you're gonna
we'll do a good job. I'm going to warn you. I'm going to talk to you about coverage, though. I'm going to talk to you about coverage.
I love it. This is what I enjoy talking about.
Sure.
But for me, I always want to have as many options as possible. And being a non-captive agent or an independent agent means that she's not beholden to any one company. Well, all she's looking for is the best coverage for you for the least amount of price, the best premium. And you don't and how much do people have to pay you to call you to take a look?
We don't charge for reviews. We do ask, have your information handy.
Uh-huh.
It's very hard to give someone a good review when they don't know the kind of coverage that they have.
Right.
But no, we do not charge for that.
So, why would you not have someone take a look at review different options for you? I mean, to me, that's like a no-brainer. It's one of the few times you get a certified expert that's able to do something for you without paying out of pocket, which is, this day and age, there's not much like that anymore. And one of the things that does bother me is that, and I don't want to name any particular insurance companies because I know you work with them, but there's some that really are promoting going online and buying your own insurance. Tell me a little bit about how that's changed the industry.
Oh, well, it is obviously brought a lot of competition. Mm-hmm. But what I have learned, in fact, I and a few other owners have talked about it. We've gone on these sites and we have gone through knowing what we do. Mm-hmm. And these websites are they're not almost. They are designed to lead a consumer to make lower coverage decisions.
Yes, predatory.
Yeah, I do
Absolutely.
not like that. I feel the only person that should go online and purchase insurance is maybe a licensed insurance agent, because you need to be buyer beware, know what you're discussing, what you're choosing, because it's just like property damage. Property damage is very inexpensive in Florida, and you could choose a lesser coverage and find out you could have doubled it for $1.
Or you could have, or you get really bad coverage, which actually makes it worse, because you actually paid all these premiums and you got zero out of it.
And no service, because now you're calling a call bank and, who knows where they are, and you'll never talk to the same person again.
Absolutely. And I can tell you from experience that it can be more frustrating when you found out that you bought insurance and you paid premiums for 10, 20 years, and then you get nothing back from it, because no matter what, this is what I tell people, call me and they're like, I don't know if I want to make a claim because I don't want my premium to go up. I'm like, well, first of all, there's consumer trade protection laws that talk about when an insurance company can cancel your insurance or increase your premiums. And it's not, if you get into a single accident, that's not your fault. They can't cancel your insurance right away. There's actually statutes that were written by the government saying that no, you can't do that. Because if you think about it, you're paying insurance premiums every month. And let's say you go 30 years or your whole life without ever making a claim. Are they going to reimburse you that premium that you paid for those 40 or 50 years? No, that's money that they keep. I love what you said about privilege, that driving is a privilege.
Driving is a privilege.
Driving is a privilege. However, in Florida, insurance is mandatory. It is mandatory attached to that privilege. And I always tell people, don't feel like the insurance company is just entitled to take your money. Make sure you empower yourself that in the event something bad happens, that you can get that money that you paid into that policy back if it's warranted. And that's a case-by-case basis. Whether, how much you get back or what you get is really dependent on each circumstance, but at least give yourself the option. Because what happens right now, when people come in and ask you what full coverage is, how do you
I don't use that word, full coverage, because there's always going to be some sort of exclusion.
Exactly. And additional coverage.
And you know what we're doing when we buy insurance, we're passing off risk to the insurance company.
Yes.
Okay, so you have to make a decision. Are original manufactured parts important on an 8-year-old vehicle? Mm-hmm. Maybe not.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
if it is important to you, then you can pay a little more.
Right. Is it a collector's vehicle, or is it a just a standard
just
Honda
a
Accord?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We have to know what's important to pay for, and some things that we can take a step back, maybe a higher deductible if you can afford it. If you don't have the money, you need the lower deductible.
Yeah.
That's the whole point, to pay what you can reasonably pay, and then have protections to take over.
And how many times has it been in your history where you actually got people more coverage for less premium?
Often.
Isn't that crazy?
Often.
So you're saving money, you're paying less, and you're actually getting better coverage simply by making a phone call.
And a lot of times locking it in for a year because we like to write those annual policies.
We're going to have to get you back. My father is going to love to talk to you too, because we've got a lot to talk about. We've only got a couple minutes left.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is give you an opportunity to tell the audience out there, how do they contact you?
Okay.
What's the best way of doing it? And, how quickly, when can they do it?
Okay. Well, we have a website, www.frankslaughterinsurance.com. Our phone number is 352-748-2221. We do have a really, really nice building we're proud of in Wildwood on 301, which is Main Street. The best to be served is to call us. We can make an appointment to talk on the phone, or if you want to come to our office. And if we are distance, what I also encourage folks to do is call your agent, because if agents aren't doing reviews with you, if they're not taking time to go over coverage and explain it, or if they can't answer a question and get back to you with a reasonable amount of time, you do need to look elsewhere, because
Absolutely.
It's a relationship.
Absolutely.
It's a relationship, and you need to understand what you're buying, because it's a big percentage of your household income,
And what materials should they have handy when they call you guys?
Thank you. Yes, you need to have your policies. You need to have your driver's license numbers, because without those things, we can't pull the data to get you the rates that you're asking for.
And what questions should they be prepared to answer when they get on the phone with you?
Well, obviously, we want to know about the vehicles, if we're talking about auto insurance, how they're
How about
used,
the home?
Your home information, who's living in the house.
Okay.
Possibly, your assets, because personal umbrellas, a lot of folks don't know about them.
Great. The best deal in insurance.
Oh, it is.
It's so cheap for what you get.
Absolutely. And I'm telling you, when you've got teenage drivers, when you have risk in your house, there is so much more reason to have a personal umbrella.
You can get almost $1 million in coverage for about $1,000 a year, if sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less, depending on the policy.
Sure.
Which is incredible if you think about it, compared to what you're paying for
Oh, absolutely.
a monthly auto insurance at $10,000 a pip.
That's the expensive part. Getting the auto insurance high enough to qualify for the umbrella. Umbrella is nothing.
Which is
compared
about,
to.
if I believe I'm right, $250
Most of the
in BI and
companies,
UM.
$250,000 per person, $500,000 per accident.
Absolutely.
Is what most require.
And so, and you'll get all these explanations of what that means, $250 per person, per accident. What's the best way for the people out there to contact you in terms of the number or the website?
Yeah, the number would be best, 352-748-2221. We also have an insurance request on our website. But I will tell you, we take time with our clients.
Good.
We take time. We don't throw a number back at you 10 minutes later. It may take some time for us to have
Because you have to shop them around different insurance
I have
agencies.
multiple companies. I'm not just putting your information into one system. I'm looking at 5 or 6 different companies.
Well, Angela, I wish we had more time. It looks like we're down to the nitty gritty at 30 seconds. Is there any last things you'd like to say to the audience before we end this session of Meldon Law and Friends?
Just take insurance seriously. A lot of folks resent insurance, and when you pay those premiums, but what you have to remember is it's protecting you. Okay, now whether you want your car's value protected as comp and collision, that's a different thing. But if you hurt someone, you want to have enough insurance so that your household's not impacted by the damage you cause. And God forbid you hurt somebody and you don't have enough insurance.
Yeah, or you hurt yourself.
Yep, you hurt yourself. Likewise, if you are that victim where that other person didn't have insurance, uninsured motorist is very, very broad. It covers more than a medical bill. In fact, I'm not too worried about the medical bills. I'm more worried about the loss of lifestyle.
Yes.
The loss of income you might sustain.
Yeah, and all that will be covered under UM, which we'll talk about it at a different time. But we're out of time today. I really want to thank Angela for coming in today. I'm going to be calling her myself. I advise any listeners out there to do the same, and we really appreciate you showing up today.
Thank you. Go Gators. And my sister graduates with her master's on
Yes,
Friday.
yes, your sister. I got Emmy Lou Williams.
Emmy Lou Williams.
All right.
She'll be marching Friday night.
Well, Emmy Lou, congratulations for graduating from UF. She'll be getting her master's in mass communication with an emphasis on digital strategy.
That's right.
So she'll take us into the new world.
She sure will.
All right, guys. Have a great week.